You're not selling a product, you're selling pain relief. I've seen this become a blind spot for a lot of builders, founders and marketers who are trying to go to market maybe for the first time, and they're not really sure why their messaging and their pitches and their sales conversations aren't yielding results. And it's because people don't really care about the bells and whistles and all these cool features and all this cool tech. People care about solving a frustrating, challenging, nasty pain point. So this is where a lot of teams get stuck, because you've built this great thing, you're really proud of the technical triumph and achievement that you've had, but it feels irrelevant to the customer. And that's a difficult thing to reconcile, but it is critical, because if you can't communicate the benefits, you will lose their interest. And there's a lot of buyer psychology, data and science that backs this, which I will get into in this video. So what I'll walk you through today is the 3 things that you can do to make sure you're grounding everything that you're doing in customer benefits, and then all of the data and science that kind of really supports and guides this thinking. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Lashana. I'm a product marketer and I help founders, marketers and builders to go to market and grow. Before a buyer ever looks at a features list, they're asking one simple question: will this make the pain stop? And that's where you need to meet them. You need to clarify as soon as possible, top line of all your messaging, sales, pitches, everything. This is how the pain is addressed. Because pain is one of the biggest human motivators, and it even influences how the buyer goes about finding a solution and what they're prepared to endure to get to their desired result. And spoiler alert, they're not prepared to enjoy much. The hard science behind this tells us that buyers want an easy life. Brian Knutson at Stanford put shoppers in an fMRI scanner and showed them price tags. The insula, which is the part of the brain that registers physical pain, lit up instantly. This tells us that buyers treat spending like touching a hot stove. Kahneman and Tversky's prospect theory showed people weigh potential losses twice as heavily as potential gains. So this insight demonstrates that avoiding a loss, whether it be money or time, feels more urgent and important than chasing any potential upside. So if you're not approaching your customers with a major pain relief solution, they're not going to buy. And this maps across both B2C and B2B. Forrester's 2024 report shows 86% of B2B deals stall. So your pitch has to make the buyer feel urgency, because if you're not addressing their pain, that deal and their interest will likely fizzle out. Gartner found buyers spend just 17% of their time with vendors that they're actually considering working with, and only 5 to 6% of time with any single vendor. This means you get one sliver of attention. Lead with the pain that they're feeling so you can make the most of that opportunity. Gartner also reports an average of 11 people weigh in on major deals. Typically, the more cooks in the kitchen means the more likely someone is to veto your pitch if the value feels fuzzy. Pain relief is going to cut through all the noise and calm all of the doubts. And Clayton Christensen's Job to Be Done framework reminds us that buyers hire products to remove a barrier, not to collect shiny new features. So here's the real go-to-market unlock. Before a buyer shows any real interest in your product, they need to believe that it's going to solve a pain. And when you lead with features, you're essentially giving them more work. They have to read through the features, understand how it applies to them, figure out where it can be integrated and if it works for what they're looking for, and then they kind of have to hope that they're right. And all of those mental gymnastics just create friction, and friction kills momentum. So how do we turn this around? Well, this is the 3-step playbook that you can follow to ground everything you do in benefits and lock in those sales. So you need to start by naming the enemy emotion. So you need to label the feeling your buyer hates. Maybe they hate opening the cloud bill. It's always worse than expected. This you'd label as bill shock. Or maybe they're annoyed that their platform or tool is taking really long to load. You label this as overcoming slow tools. Maybe they have no idea if something that they're using or building will crash when they get more users. That is a scalability fear. Maybe they can't tell what's most important when reading through lots of notifications. Maybe that's notification overkill. Or maybe they don't know what tools people in their organization are using and that makes them nervous. You can talk about this as opaqueness and lack of visibility. Maybe merging code always turns into a mess. That can be called merge mess. Maybe they're not sure if their model still works the way it should as they progress. Maybe that can be labeled as model drift worries. And maybe they hate that they can't explain how something works. That is probably black box fear. Whatever it is, focus on the pain and speak directly to it. Label it in a way that is clear and obvious to the customer so they know that you have the expertise and deep understanding of their challenges and their business to address everything that they're dealing with. Next, you need to quantify the impact of that pain. You need to add numbers to those pain points. So not only are you demonstrating that you deeply understand those pain points well enough to allocate a specific figure, but you're also demonstrating the cost of inaction on their part. So you must put numbers on that unpleasant emotion so it feels undeniable and they feel seen. For example, if you're selling infrastructure solutions to a startup, your messaging could say that the average startup, potentially in the AI space, is burning $30,000 to $50,000 every month on infrastructure. So you can use these sort of figures to emphasize this is what it's costing people to stay with their current solution. This is the detrimental element of it. You could also use customer case studies. For example, a customer found that moving their cloud service on-prem with us halved their costs overnight. And it may not always be money, it could be time, it could be team resource, it could be maybe hiring costs. Figure out the numerical impact on a business and speak to it. Next, you need to position your product as the exit plan. Show in one sentence how you slam that pain door shut. For example, the pain might be, our cloud bills keep surprising us. So you can address this with, we help you cap cloud costs so you always know what you'll spend. The buyer hears the benefit, the reduction in pain before they hear anything about a specific feature. So that's your playbook. Do those three things. Name the pain, quantify it with numbers, and position your solution as the exit strategy. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time.